What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including a WCW legend passes away. Did Cody Rhodes retire last night on AEW Dynamite? John Cena is worried about WWE. Batista was broke after WWE. Bray Wyatt's been replaced, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into the first story. Unfortunately, our first story looks at a loss of a legend, a WCW legend. Now, it's sad to report the loss of Bobby Eaton, who became famous as a member of the Midnight Express and was also considered one of the best workers in pro wrestling. Bobby Eaton began working during the Territory era, but blossomed when he paired with Dennis Condrey in Mid-South Wrestling as Jim Cornette's Midnight Express. Eaton continued to team when Condrey left, teaming with Stan Lane to form an equally successful incarnation of the team. The Midnights were known for their epic feud with the Rock and Roll Express in Mid-South Wrestling and JCP. Bobby Eaton continued working in WCW and later on in the independent scene, and continued to wrestle until 2015. Bobby Eaton's sister posted the following message on Facebook. "I never wanted to post this, but my little brother beautiful Bobby Eaton passed away last night. When I find out all the details, I will post them. Bobby was the kindest, loving person you would ever meet. I loved him so much and I'm gonna miss him. Please say a prayer for my niece Tyron. She found him, and she just lost her mom a little over a month ago." That is incredibly sad, and we do extend our heartfelt condolences to Mr. Eaton's friends and family. Next up, John Cena worried about WWE. Now, the 16-time world champion was promoting his role in his upcoming film when he discussed his return to the WWE and what his current position is in the company. "Man, I wish there was some sort of fountain of youth where I could be a full-time contributor. The longer they continue to bet on an aging prospect, that makes WWE's future a little bit less stable." Cena is obviously saying what fans and wrestling pundits have been saying for several years now. They need to work on building new stars rather than relying on legends whose best days are behind them. And what's disturbing about these comments isn't that Cena is predicting doom and gloom for the WWE, which he's clearly not doing, but that everyone but Vince McMahon seems to realize the big problem. Cena also discussed how his time being booed in the WWE prepared him for playing off-the-wall self-deprecating roles such as his Peacemaker character. There's two ways you can go when you're told to suck every day. You can wallow in that shame and believe that opinion, or you can look at yourself in the mirror and realize you're enough. That self-love allows me to do things that are a little bit obscure in some sense, most of the time wearing very little clothing. Cena's positive attitude enabled him to continue performing for his loyal fans while ignoring the boo birds, and apparently it's also prepared him for playing different roles in Hollywood. Who would have thought booing helped? Next up, did Cody Rhodes retire on AEW Dynamite? Cody Rhodes has had a rough night on the 4th August edition of Dynamite, with opponent Malachi Black destroying Rhodes in the main event of AEW Homecoming. Malachi put Cody through a table, then hit his finish of the Black Mass, easily pinning the American Nightmare. Following his embarrassing loss, as Black pinned Cody by placing one foot on his chest, Cody told the fans his goal was to honor his father's memory and that he'd been in the face of AEW since the start. Cody said perhaps it's time for some new faces to take over and took off his boot. Before things could go any further, Malachi returned to the ring and dished out some more punishment, ending the show. While there's no talk behind the scenes of Cody retiring, the two-time AEW TNT champion is reportedly taking time off for a role on season 2 of the Go Big Show, and it's likely he's being written off TV, much like when Mr. Brody Lee defeated him for the TNT championship and delivered a brutal post-match attack. Also, he may want to spend time with his newborn child. Fans watching AEW after the show went off the air report Cody took off his other boot and kissed the mat apron before exiting the ring. It should be interesting to not only see what's next for Cody, but what's next for Malachi Black, who's been booked as a monster so far. Next up, Batista was broke after WWE. Dave Batista is doing well in Hollywood, so well in fact that he's retired from pro wrestling in order to focus on his film career. However, Batista's first exit from the WWE in 2010 saw the animal facing a huge financial failure, one so bad he lost his home. In an interview with IGN.com, Batista revealed the shocking events that saw him borrowing money to buy Christmas gifts for his kids. Big Dave had left the WWE with the goal of becoming a star, but when things didn't start off strong, he found himself struggling. I barely worked in 3 years, so I'd really left wrestling behind. I could have gone back with my tail between my legs, but I still would have just been stuck in that place that I never would have gone any further. But I just took a chance, and then when I got cast, not only because I was broke, everything changed. And when I say broke, my house was foreclosed. I had nothing, man. I sold all my stuff. I sold everything that I made from when I was wrestling. I had issues with the IRS. I was just lost in everything. However, things changed when James Gunn took a chance on casting Batista in Guardians of the Galaxy as the alien warrior Drax. Batista explained, "When Guardians came out and people saw me as Drax, it just started opening doors. So Drax didn't just change my career, it literally changed the trajectory of my life. My life just got better and I just became more successful. And that's when things really just started to seem like surreal. It wasn't many years earlier when I was just like borrowing money to pay for food, pay for rent, borrow money to buy my kids Christmas presents." Batista's rags to riches story is an example of someone investing everything in themselves despite some epic risks. While it may seem incredible that someone as successful as Batista has had financial problems after a successful run in the WWE, the reality is that for whatever reasons he did, but he refused to give up on his dreams. Next up, Miro talks Lana working in AEW. Is Lana heading to AEW? Now that Miro's wife Lana has been released from the WWE, AEW fans are speculating whether she'll join her husband in the squared circle, especially after Miro has talked about his wife during promos. The current TNT champion discussed the situation with Action Sports, revealing, "Currently she's doing her own thing. It's not about me, it's about what she wants to do. She's been in the business for such a long time and came fresh out of nowhere. I wouldn't be surprised if she stays in the wrestling because there are so many opportunities coming because she's one of the best. Outside of wrestling, she could always go because before wrestling, she was something else. My mind is blown if she decides to focus on a different career path, how successful that would be. While she could join AEW once her non-compete clause ends, she could also continue her work building her acting career. Lana has improved in the ring enough that she could fit well within AEW's women's roster. And as previously reported, former WWE superstar Ruby Riott is headed to AEW, which is still in need of a strong female undercard. Do you think Lana should go to AEW? Let us know in the comments down below. And finally, Bray Wyatt's been replaced. And last but not least, while it remains to be seen where Bray Wyatt will end up next in wrestling, the WWE hasn't wasted any time taking him off its opening video for its TV and pay-per-view shows. According to several reports, Finn Balor has replaced Wyatt in the video, which comes as no surprise since the WWE likely wants the fans to forget Wyatt even existed. But there you have it guys, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.